Almost 3 years ago to the day, I laid in bed not knowing what I was going to do with myself, and I decided that I was going to go ahead and seek to get into video work professionally. 3 years later, I am now officially done in the Digital Media Arts program at Bellevue College. I think it's a great time to celebrate, so why don't we go overseas?
I'm Gary, and this is Coasting with Culture, which is all about combining theme park visits and riding roller coasters with various cultural experiences around the world. And here's how we'll do it this time. A grand adventure is about to begin across the Atlantic Ocean as a coaster club embarks on a group excursion in jolly old England, visiting some of their popular theme parks. There's also an opportunity to explore new destinations across the neighboring Emerald Isle, and we'll take a look at the grand plan for this nearly 2-week visit between Ireland and the United Kingdom. Then get the journey started with a scenic train ride to catch a flight with a familiar Canadian airline to the adventure's starting point. I gotta tell you, I find it very fitting that my first trip after finishing up at Bellevue College is going to England. It was after deciding to study video production where I made my way back to England for the first time in a couple of years and had a chance to enjoy some great parks over there. And so as I finished my 3-year journey to get through the Digital Media Arts program at Bellevue College, what a better way to celebrate than by going back to England, but with a little bit more on top. And it just so happens that there are some great folks headed that way as well. Here's how this one came together. Back at Onion 287 the previous summer, the Drunk Riders shared an announcement from the Buzz Bars Coaster Club that one of their 2026 events would be turned into an organized tour, Stumble Across the Pond. With an itinerary that mainly focused on theme parks I had been to before in England, there were still a few new experiences to enjoy at each park, whether I'd missed a ride or a new one was built since I was there last. And there were some parks and culture stops which I had not yet experienced, plus the ability to join some of my favorite people would be very hard to pass up. And much like the last time Buzz Bars made their way overseas with Stumblelandia in 2022, there'd be a number of different plans with folks heading to the likes of France, Spain, the Netherlands, and Finland. How I came about making my plans was largely tied to the pre-tour add-on stop across the Irish Sea at Ireland's Emerald Park. As this would be my first time on the Emerald Isle, I knew I'd want to explore much of the Republic and Northern Ireland as well. But given the expense of driving a rental car across the border, and based on the interest of what others shared in doing, I decided to make them separate parts of the trip, focusing on the Republic of Ireland before the tour, and then Northern Ireland after, with a train ride back to Dublin from Belfast to make my way home. We'll get into the details of the tour in England and my time in Northern Ireland as they come, but here's what's in store for the first few days, exploring the Republic of Ireland. Upon arrival into Dublin, I'll join a few friends for an Irish road trip with stops to see historic ruins and nab a shameless coaster. Our first night will have us in Galway, and we'll get to stroll around town the following morning before making our way to meet up with more friends outside of a folk village, then venture over to an awe-inspiring natural wonder on the coast. The third day is all about the Irish capital of Dublin, as a whole bunch of Buzz Bars will wander its streets and enjoy some of their best-known beverages before many of us take over a special home on the outskirts of town. Then finally, the largest gathering of Buzz Bars in Ireland will descend upon the country's biggest theme park before hopping across the Irish Sea to officially kick off Stumble Across the Pond. All that's left to do now is to start making my way to Dublin. Like many of my most recent trips, I start with that familiar stroll through my West Seattle neighborhood to catch the Sea Line bus downtown. But several stops before my usual light rail connection, I'd hop off early for a different kind of train.
Now today's journey is going to be a little bit different because while I typically would head down to SeaTac for my flight, this time it's back up to Vancouver as I've done on multiple occasions. Most of the time, I'd catch a bus up there, whether it was Flixbus or Greyhound. However, this time, we're going to go for a little bit more of a scenic ride as there is something that's been on my bucket list for a while, and that is to enjoy a journey on the Cascades line.
The Cascades line is a regional service offered in collaboration between the Washington State Department of Transportation and Amtrak that goes as far south as Eugene, Oregon, and the northern terminus is none other than Vancouver. And to hop aboard this route, you'll make your way into the King Street Station, which is Seattle's oldest train station, opening in 1906, and has had multiple restorations to preserve its incredible interior. Other routes from the station include the Empire Builder to Chicago and the Coast Starlight down to Los Angeles, which I enjoyed with my dad several years ago. Much of the northern half of the Cascades line runs along the coast of the Puget Sound, but unfortunately I wasn't in line for boarding nearly early enough, so I wasn't able to get one of those prized spots for views. Fortunately though, there's still some neat things to see on the other side, and there are still ways to enjoy those seaside wonders. As you depart the King Street station and pass through the train tunnel underneath the downtown core, there are several points of interest along the way, from crossing Salmon Bay Bridge with the Ballard Locks in view to the lovely coastal towns of Edmonds and Mukilteo. Stopping at Everett Station would give me a bit of a flashback, since I've spent many hours laying over between routes when I drove buses for community transit. And as we roll on from Everett, the train heads inland toward the Skagit Valley, then works its way back to the coast before arriving to the city of Bellingham, which is the last stop before crossing the border into Canada alongside the Peace Arch. After we crossed the border, we continued alongside Semiahmoo Bay and Boundary Bay past the town of White Rock, before making our way up north to Vancouver. What was a very timely ride for the first few hours began to hit some delays thanks to some freight traffic, and upon arrival into Pacific Central Station, we'd experienced another long wait as they kept passengers on board while they unloaded luggage, which took about 20 minutes before we could finally hop off. Luckily, the on-site customs process went fairly quickly.
While the Cascades line is a nice way to get up to Vancouver, the unloading process takes a little bit of extra time because of the customs clearing and the unloading of baggage. So unfortunately, I might have to pass on taking the SkyTrain as I've done in past trips and try to catch a lift, because I only got so much time to catch my flight to get to Calgary. So we got a boogie.
Had we arrived on time and not had to wait for the offloading of luggage, I would have been perfectly fine taking the SkyTrain route, as I've done several times. But I wasn't too interested in the risk of missing my first flight and having to figure out a contingency plan due to being late.
Might not have been able to use the SkyTrain as I had originally planned. You know, sometimes delays happen, and with the train having that 30 minutes just sitting there with nobody doing anything, it definitely felt like I needed to take advantage of Lyft to get over here. But the great thing though was that security was hardly anything at all.
And thanks to a quick security passage, I could enjoy a little wandering and discovering neat displays like this one of Disney memorabilia and toys that start off as a small collection by a resident of Burnaby, Ken Stevens, who began pursuing garage sales and antique shops to add to his collection of items based on the popular main characters of the company, such as Pluto, Goofy, Donald Duck, and of course, Minnie and Mickey Mouse.
One thing I absolutely love about Vancouver is the amount of artwork that goes into this place, and the design of it just makes it feel very modern. But then they also have really cool stuff like this display of Disney toys from the past. You know, it kind of hits me right in the feels as a former Disney cast member. But as much as I'd love to walk around and just take a look at art, there's something I need to do. Because if you know anything about me, there is one thing that is an absolute must every time I'm in Canada.
In previous visits to Vancouver, this place I must visit seemed to be far easier to find, but some remodeling in the airport led to a need to look elsewhere. True, there were alternative options.
No. That's an imposter. We gotta keep looking for the real stuff.
Some might just give in to the familiar, but I wasn't giving up so easily.
I don't need to meet you. You're back home. I can get you any time I want. I need Precious.
But with each passing food outlet, things began looking bleak.
Sweet Maple Lounge? That's not my Precious. I need my Precious.
And right when all hope starts to dwindle,
Precious?
there comes a sign you're on the right path.
Precious. I think I'm finding the precious. Oh, there's the precious. There's the precious. Precious, 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 precious. I found it.
And after much effort is made to find that which you seek, a great reward awaits you.
I found him. I got my Timbits. I'm ready.
All that's left is to enjoy the spoils of your quest. And there was just enough time to get back to the gate for my first flight.
Good Lord, I walked a long way for some donut holes. It has been a while since I've had a chance to go anywhere, and this was probably one of the longer gaps of time that I went without a flight. I'm ready to hop on this plane and get this going. And now for something I have been wanting to do for such a long time. Y'all know what time it is.
It's been several years since I flew with WestJet during my big Canadian coaster trip in 2019, but the one-way ticket I purchased to Dublin with a connection in Calgary was fairly cheap, and being able to all but guarantee I'd make it to Dublin as planned made it an easy choice over trying to go standby as I have in the past. My only real gripe was that this completely full 737-800 didn't seem to have much in the way of air conditioning, and thus was a bit toasty inside. Luckily though, it's a rather quick flight with some incredible mountain views, especially as you fly over the Canadian Rockies.
Whew, that plane could have used some air. Holy moly, it was toasty in there. Although I will say I haven't had too much trouble flying with WestJet in the past. So, just a little warm in there. Well, when I originally booked this flight, I expected that I was going to be going on it by myself. However, run into the first buzz bar has happened already.
Hi, guys.
Ricky made it here.
Yeah, too bad you're abandoning me back in coach.
So, allow me to explain. Those who've traveled on long-haul flights with carriers based out of the US may be familiar with how some will allow passengers to make a bid on an upgraded seat, and then notify them if their bid was large enough to do so. This is how I was able to enjoy business class for the first time when I flew with Air Canada to Taipei several years ago, and I was able to make the minimum bid for an upgrade to a premium economy for this flight.
When it kind of went through, and I did kind of abandon Ricky here, so not bad, but maybe I can make it up a little bit to you.
As we still had a little bit of time before our flight, I could use my priority pass for myself and a guest to enjoy the Aspire Lounge. So I brought Ricky in with me to give us a more comfortable place to wait until it was time to board. One of the best features of the lounge is their self-service draft beer tap, which was pouring the delightful Binge Watch New Zealand Pale Ale, offered by Calgary's own Village Brewery. Certainly a nice way to kill some time before our flight.
And just like that, our time together comes to a short pause because, unfortunately, I'm above the peon class today. And I'm sorry, Ricky.
I'm not.
We shall reunite in Dublin.
In 9 hours.
WestJet had two main options for getting to Dublin from Vancouver, one which connected through Toronto and Halifax on all 737s, and the other which was this option I chose, to fly on their 787 Dreamliner from Calgary, which at the time of this trip is the only location the Canadian airline flies the modern wide-body aircraft. I generally prefer larger planes for long flights as they feel slightly less cramped, and having that successful upgrade bid to premium economy made for a more comfortable flight, as the seat is on par with domestic first-class seats, offering a larger screen for entertainment and the more premium experience, including a pre-flight beverage. There were snacks aplenty during the flight, and there was a decent selection of movies to watch. The biggest challenge for me, though, is that I'm not the best sleeper when I can't lay down, so I bought one of these head wraps that keeps your head anchored to the seat back, allowing you to better relax your head and neck without cranking it. It was comfortable enough, and the mask was effective in blocking the light, but I don't think I was really tired enough to completely fall asleep, so I just tried to rest up as best I could.
It was just me and Ricky, but now there's a third that has joined us. Hi. Carl's here.
Once we had a chance to freshen up a little bit with a change of clothes and Pseudo arrived, it was time to hit the road to explore the Emerald Isle. With a bit of a drive, we came to a location in County Westmeath that has some really fascinating folklore tied to it.
So our motley crew here has made it to the town called Fore, which is home to the legend of one Saint Fahine when he built a Christian monastery here centuries ago.
The most easily identifiable wonder is the monastery in a bog, which is the former Fore Abbey, built in the 7th century. Historic structures like this can be found all over the Emerald Isle, but this one stands out for its location upon a bog, as most abbeys were built upon more solid ground than what you'd find in marshlands. In spite of its unusual location though, the abbey was utilized for over 400 years and survived multiple fires from invading forces, such as the Vikings. As the leader of this monastery, Saint Fahine attracted around 300 monks to the community in a span of about 35 years. It's neat seeing the remains of the structure continuing to stand tall after so many years, whereas one of the other wonders of Fore is no longer there, and that is the mill without a race. As legend has it, Saint Fahine placed a mill in a location with no water running to it, then used his abbot staff to strike the ground at a nearby hill, which then led to water flowing down toward the newly built mill. Other wonders of Fore include water that flows uphill and water which doesn't boil. There is also an ancient ash tree, which is another fascinating part of the village's lore, with a ton of copper coins hammered into it by generations of pilgrims that might have accidentally killed the tree, so people then started tying rags to it. But the legend of the tree is that it cannot be burned, as a local shared that there once was a man who cut off a branch of the tree for firewood and was found dead the next day. Across the main road is the location of the other two wonders, including the anchorite in stone, which was a place where hermits lived, and Saint Fahine's church, where lintel stone was raised by his prayers during its construction. There might be a few of these wonders that give a bit of trust me bro energy, as they say that it's bad luck to even try to disprove them, but the legend of these wonders combined with their historic structures and the area's natural beauty makes for an excellent stop and an enjoyable way to kick off our exploration. Unfortunately, that kind of ended up being the end of our first day, as everyone was pretty tired from the overnight flight, and we wouldn't get to our coaster stop that we had originally planned in Bundoran until around 7 o'clock, with a couple hours yet to get to Galway after. So we cut that out and made our way straight to Galway so we could try to get a good night's sleep and continue the next day.
You know, admittedly, the first day might not have gone exactly to plan, but it doesn't matter because this is a chance to explore a new place. And as I'm looking around here, it looks like there's going to be some great things to explore tomorrow.
And not only will we get to dive into what Galway has to offer, we'll also be catching up with more friends as we enjoy a local pub with a neighboring folk village, then continue on to the breathtaking views provided by one of Ireland's great natural wonders.
And I hope you'll come back next time to see it all, here on Coasting with Culture.
Thank you for watching this video from Coasting with Culture. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and click on the subscribe button to see future videos here on YouTube, like these ones which you may enjoy as well. Additional content can be found at coastingwithculture.com, and you can also follow Coasting with Culture on various social media channels at CoastWCulture for announcements, previews, and updates. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, take care and safe travels.